When one thinks of Mexico, a couple of things come to mind, right? You think Cancun, Cabo, all inclusive, tacos, tequila, and then some people think federale, drug cartel, am I gonna get kidnapped? And while some of the things that I just listed are true, Mexico is so much more. Mexico is huge, and there's this whole center part of the country that no one ever really thinks about traveling to. Mexico has 32 states, and each of these states have their own flavors, cultures, style. Mexico has its sprawling cities, romantic cities, its beach towns. If you're a nature lover, of course, there are fantastic beaches, but there are also jungles and waterfalls. My favorite part about Mexico is its history. I am a Latina, I am Puerto Rican, and I love everything Mexican. And I recently learned that Mexicans love them some Puerto Ricans. I love the history of Mexico because it is so diverse. There is rich history of indigenous peoples and great civilizations such as the Aztec, the Mayans, the Olmecs. But there is also rich Black history there. There are a lot of misconceptions about what it is to be Latino and what a Latino is supposed to look like. And while Mexico doesn't necessarily talk about its Black history, it's there and it's on display and it's easy to find. But enough about history. If you're interested in dipping your toe into other places of Mexico, I highly recommend starting in Oaxaca. Oaxaca is about a 30-minute airplane ride from Mexico City. So you can fly into Mexico City, stay there a few days, and then fly down to Oaxaca City. Oaxaca City is the capital of Oaxaca, and for good reason. There is so much to do and see there. And it's also a great introduction into the different facets and faces of Mexico. If you want more suggestions for where to stay, what to do, what to see in other parts of Mexico, definitely check out my website. Before you run to the website, watch the rest of this video to learn about a very special food tour run by some very, very special people in Oaxaca City. I hope you enjoy. Ciao.
Oaxaca City, aka Oaxaca, has emblazoned itself onto my list of most romantic cities. There is a story around every colorful corner and an abundance of old world charm. The architecture alone oozes romance, but it's the love and thought that goes into every facet of Oaxacan culture that will sweep you off your feet. Before you explore its buzzing markets, curious museums, quiet coves, and sleepy plazas, before exploring Hierve el Agua and Teotitlan, before taking one sip of mezcal. Day one, reserve your spot with Oaxaca Eats Food Tour. The tour not only introduces its guests to Oaxacan cuisine, but lovingly shares the city's story, history, and secrets. At the beginning of the tour, you'll be greeted by your guide. This day, our guide was the lovely Lorena. After some introductions, Lorena walked us over to our first stop for some traditional Oaxacan refreshment.
Have you tried tejate?
No.
No? Okay, perfect. So this is a really traditional drink of Oaxaca. It's called the drink of the gods, as they say here.
It's the energy drink you're going to need to get through the day.
It's like the choco milk of Oaxacan people. And well, this is our famous tejate drink. It's prepared with 4 ingredients. It has cacao, corn, mamey seed, which is the almond of the mamey fruit. It's a recipe that is passed through the family, but only the woman in the family. So what they do is that they collect the 4 ingredients, they toast it, grind it, and add it to the pot. And what Angelica will be doing is that she will be pouring some water, mixing it by hand, and just being carefully about the water temperature, because it cannot be like really hot or really cold. So she will be adding some water, mixing it by hand. It's a really whole process.
After some refreshment, you'll embark on a leisurely stroll and pop into a handful of restaurants for tastings of stuffed chiles, moles, tostadas, and of course mezcal. Chefs from each of the restaurants pridefully introduce their plates, which adds a special touch of intimacy to the tour. Even more special is what the tour contributes to the community. To learn more, I sat with owner of the tour, Dean Michaels.
We support the community in a couple of different ways, one of which is that we try to hire local people as much as possible. We pay for all of the food, drink, service fees that are in all of the restaurants that we go to, so we're not getting handouts. But also, 5% of the ticketed price is split between two charities, one of which is for children and one of which is for music, both really, really super important here in Oaxaca. And for the children, the charity is called the Center for Esperanza Infantil. And typically these are students and children of poverty that would not be going to school, that would be working on the streets or not getting an education. And the second one is Instituto Organo Histórico of Oaxaca. These are people that have been taking many of the old Iberian Baroque organs that are made on site in all these churches, and from some back as far as 1686, and rehabilitating them, and it helps those people that might be interested in learning how to play do that, and so they can now go back into their communities, and with an organ that's restored, now they can bring music back to the community. So that's been very, very gratifying. This year, just in 1 year, we've been able to donate over $1,000, which is 20,000 pesos, which is a huge sum of money.
What does your tour offer or teach travelers?
We want to just be able to make it easier for people to not be so afraid of foods they've never heard of. I think people come to Mexico, they think they're going to be eating Tex-Mex, and that stuff is not to be found down here. So, the words and the foods that we were used to here and that the people that make here are just so unfamiliar. But that's becoming more and more minimal. The world of Oaxacan food is breaking out of this region. I think everybody should give Oaxaca a try and give Mexico a try. I mean, we've been down here about 13 different times, and we wander all around, and there's just so much culture, so much richness, so many great people, so many things to see and do. I think that the more people see Oaxaca, the more they're going to realize, what an incredible place this is, and they too, like my wife and I, might end up finding a place to stay and call this home for good.